This is a short video to show you some genealogy books that I self-published and had printed. And they came from letters from my great-great-aunt. Also, I had some letters from my great-aunt to my grandmother. And I had my grandmother and grandfather's diary given to me, and so I had that printed for the family. And then finally, the fourth book that I've published either by myself or with my sister is called John Hansford and Descendants. And actually, the Hansford book, while I had it printed, my grandmother actually wrote that in 1979. And I'll talk a little more about that later. This is a picture of my sister's book called The Sister Letters from 1892 to 1895. This shows the actual Amazon page that the book is sold on. You can see that the price per copy of this book is $4 plus shipping, and the book is 120 pages. With an Amazon Prime account, the shipping is free. And it's free to use their book services to set up your book. So this is what it would look like. You also can buy your books at wholesale prices if you want. And you also are not required to sell them on their site. If you would like to sell them in a foreign country, they take care of all of that as well. To use Amazon Direct Publishing, you need to set up an account. And this shows you the page and the website that you would go to start setting up your account to begin publishing books on Amazon. The next step is to create the book. However, you should have your manuscript, and it must be in PDF format for Amazon Publishing. I write mine in Microsoft Word, and when the book is completely finished, then I have a content file that I save in PDF format. And I also have a separate cover file that you have to upload in PDF format as well. So this is the page on Amazon and what it looks like. Amazon is really great about walking you from page to page so you know exactly what you need to do next. So this is the create page when you're ready to create the book. As I said in the last slide, Amazon Direct Publishing takes you through a step-by-step process of what you need to do to publish your book. In the beginning, they'll ask you to fill in the title, the author. They'll ask if you have publishing rights, the number of pages in your book, the size of the final book that you want them to print at. They also will ask you to identify marketing words, and also what category you want your book to fall into. For example, genealogy, education, historical fiction, military, whatever. You fill in all that kind of information. They don't do that for you. And then based on everything that you tell them and the information you give them, then there's the place right there to calculate the cost of the book. So this is the book that I just actually finished yesterday. It's the Hansford Hunting book that you saw on the cover. And right now, I know that it's going to be sold for $4.75. That's something I told them how much of a royalty I wanted to make on the book. And based on that and their costs, then they come up with the final price of the book. And so my book right now is in review. They've already sent me a proof copy. And with that proof copy, you can go in and make sure everything lines up correctly. Mine didn't. The spine of the book was a little bit off, and so I had to go back and have my designer who designed the cover, I had to ask him to fit it into a template. When they ask you how many pages in your book you have, that's really important because they use that to determine the size of the spine that they're going to print the name of the book on. So if there's too few pages, then your spine printing is off, and that was my case. I had a couple fewer pages than I had said I thought I would in the end. And so my spline was off, and so I had to have that cover re-uploaded. So you can also set up your book on this page. It looks just slightly different, and it says create, manage, and publish with the little create button. If you start at that create button, you end up at the same spot. It's just they have a couple spots where you can start to create your book. So you have lots of printing choices, and you see them in front of you. You can print a Kindle ebook. You can print a paperback book. That's what I've always done. Also, you can print a hardcover book. And you can have a series of books. You might notice with my books, they all have the same or very similar cover design. So that someone could see on a bookshelf that those are a set or those match. Amazon also allows you to sell them in a set or put them in a set, or every time you publish a new one, you can say, you know, book 3 of a set of 5. So those options are there as well. Definitely writing the book is the hardest part. However, once you write the book, then you have to prepare your manuscript for Kindle publishing. So you see here on this page, this talks about preparing your manuscript. Do you want paperback or hardcover? And if you're getting which one you're going to use, depending on that, then you go in and choose a template, and you tell them the size of the book, and that way you know exactly what your content or the pages inside the book has to look like. So the margins and all that's predetermined for you. And this page right here takes you through that process of downloading a template based on the size of the book that you want them to print. So here's just a quick idea about the content templates. It's also in just one long book, but I cut these pages out to kind of show you what it looks like. So it is really easy to just type, like right there, type your book title, type the author's name. There's a dedication page. It's all laid out for you so that you can just fit your information into it, as well as a table of contents. And then when you know how many pages you have in that, of course, that will be a little bit larger when you actually have the names of the different chapters in that. And then finally, I wanted to show you, because this is one of the reasons why I don't think the genealogy notebooks would work the way they're currently printed. Because when you're putting a book together, the inside or the middle pages of the book, the inside pages, because you have a binding there, you need more room in the inside of the page, and you need less room on the outside of the page. And so this green line is showing you this bottom is the inside page, because you can see where the print ends. And the top sheet right here would be one of the outside pages, because the print ran over. There's less room. So that means this page will be the inside page of the book. And so it has the margin has to be that size. Okay, working with the template can be a bit of a hassle. I've done it completely on my own for, I think, 3 books. And this latest book, I decided that I was going to go to Fiverr and pay someone to do that for me. And so what you see here, Fiverr is a spot that people will do work, and basically they tell you how much it's going to cost before you even begin, and they tell you what services are available. So this just I haven't used this particular Fiverr person, but I wanted to show you the way it looks. So he's saying that he'll format your book. He's familiar with Amazon Kindle. He's familiar with Spark. and some other self-publishing platforms. So I always look for someone that is familiar with Amazon direct publishing, because that's the system that you'll be using. And you can see over here, the price can be from $10 all the way up to, $300, depending on what you want them to do. And you just go through and you decide on the person that you want to hire, and then start corresponding with them back and forth, and they will set up your book the way that you're asking them to. They also offer a few, if things aren't exactly like you wanted it, then you usually get a few revisions for free. So this is Fiverr. To me, it's worth it to pay a little bit for them to set up your books so that your margins are right and everything, falls into place in your book, and you don't have to spend a lot of time with that. The other thing you have to think about is your book cover, and if you're selling your book, then your book cover is really important. And the same thing, you can hire someone at fiverr.com. There's people that do your book cover anywhere from $10. You see in this strip, I just cut this out and pasted it in. I'm not recommending, I've never used any of these particular people, but you can see the prices from $10 up to $100 of these 4 people. And paying $100 doesn't necessarily mean they do a better job or they're a better designer. So be careful. The one thing that I will point out is, if you see on book 3, the Smart Money Green book, that designer has a rating of 4.8 out of a total of 5. And 251 right behind the rating tells you that she's completed 251 different book covers, or 251 different jobs. As opposed to, if you look at the yellow book, the Black Drop book, you'll see that that person has a 4.9 rating, but he's only delivered and designed 13 covers. And that doesn't necessarily speak to his quality, but you might be aware of that as someone asking for $100 and they haven't been on this platform very long. And you can download a template for them from Amazon, and you give them that template, and it tells them exactly how to lay out the cover and information as to exactly how the cover has to be laid out based on the number of pages that are in the book. Okay, something that you can do with your book is you can have add an International Standard Book Number, ISBN number, to your book. And if you're going to sell your book on Amazon, they're going to require that you have one. Or if you want to sell it at a bookstore someplace, or a historical society wants to sell your book, then you would want to make sure that you include an ISBN number with that book. Now you can see here, this is one of the best known people that sell ISBN numbers, and also with that you need a barcode. So they're selling 10 ISBN numbers and barcodes and 1 QR code for $395, and that is extremely high. In my opinion. You can also buy, like 100 for a certain cost, and the price goes down depending on the number that you buy. However, Amazon gives you or assigns you this number for free, so you don't have to buy one. You can use their number. I always put my own number on there. I think that it's kind of like a website. When someone gives you a free place to build your website, there's usually a catch, and you don't know how long they're going to be there, if the number's going to change. Well, Amazon is, really dependable. I don't think they're going to go away. So if you just want to use the number that they assign to you, they add it, they print it, they add the barcode. And it's definitely the easiest way so that you have an ISBN number, and I highly recommend that. And I wanted to point out, spend a little time on Google, because on Google, I just spent probably 2 minutes. And this second site I went to, ISBN services, they say you can get affordable ISBNs, and they also offer some publishing freedoms as well. So I've never used this site at all. They sell an ISBN number for, I think, $22 right now. So for less than $25, they're selling it. But if you look around, there may be them for less. Like I said, I probably bought mine 30 or 40 years ago when I was publishing my first book. And I bought 100 of them for, I don't even remember how much. Another thing to consider, and this is free also, is to have your book in the Library of Congress. And a lot of people don't realize that you can do this. And you do this by going online and filling out and submitting a form on the Library of Congress's page, and it's for a pre-assigned control number. So similar to the ISBN, the Library of Congress assigns books in their library a special number for just the Library of Congress. And like I said, it's free, or it always has been in the past. And you fill out the form, and within 3 to 5 days, then the number will come to you. And then, of course, if you're going to put that number in a book, then you definitely, when you finish it, you should send them a copy of your book. So finishing up, this is just showing you where I started. This was the old Hansford hunting book that my grandmother wrote in 1979. And at that time, she did all of her research by going to a library or writing a library or writing people, and it was very tedious work. But she did it, and she was a genealogist for probably 50 years. And so she decided that she wanted to publish this Hansford book about the Hansford family. And so she just got the folders that kids used to use in school, or some places they still do. And then she had her manuscript typed, and then gave out a few copies of it. And what happened, we realized it's been nearly 50 years ago that she wrote this book. And so for many of the books, everything is flaking off, and you couldn't read some of the pages at all. And so my brother had a really good copy of it, and so I had it retyped and basically went through the process of republishing it so that that information would always be available. And now I'll do the same thing. At that time, she didn't have an ISBN number. She didn't sell it. She didn't, have a Library of Congress number. But I guarantee you, if she would have had the publishing opportunities that we have now for such reasonable costs, that she would have definitely, in my opinion, had it published and put into a number of genealogy libraries, certainly in the areas that the Hansfords lived. Another place I always send all of the books is to the Salt Lake City Family History Library. They prefer that you send them a thumb drive in the book in digital form. I usually send both to them, but sending it there also, and then it's going to show up online when someone searches for your book. Although I will say, if you go through Amazon, if you look for this book probably in another week, it's going to pop up and be available. And this is what it looks like now. So this is a copy of the new Hansford hunting book. It's being published right now in September of 2024. This was the cover that I had designed. That's a couple of the Hansfords. And he served in the Civil War, and the family happened to have this picture of he and his wife when he served in the Civil War, so I decided to put that on the front of the book. And on the back of the book, I put my grandmother and grandfather, because the Hansford line was from my grandfather's line, but it was my grandmother who wrote the book. So I put both of their pictures on the back. And you can see this, the third picture is the inside of the book, and you can see it lays out nicely. It prints beautifully. It's not going to be flaking off, in another 50 years. So we're really lucky that this kind of a book now the family can keep for who knows how long, but certainly longer than the 50 years. So you saw earlier in a page that looked like this on my Hansford Hunting book, it said rather than live, it said in review. So this is what it looks like when everything's finished, when the review process has been finished, when you've seen a proof and you've approved the proof that everything is correct in your book. And then what's going to happen is my in review will change to live, and then you'll see the price of the book over on the right in the second oval, and there'll be a link there that you can go directly and view it on Amazon. So that's the final step. You're done when you get here. And again, you can buy your own books at wholesale cost if you want to, or you can sell them on Amazon, with a small, I sell mine with a royalty probably of about 50 cents, if that. I'm just trying to make it available to other people in the family. And I usually buy copies and distribute it, but if other people want it by chance, then I think there were 186 different people in this Norp diary, and so some of them wanted it. I actually mailed it to a few of them, and a few of them, when they found out it was online at Amazon, they went and bought it at Amazon. So it just gives it a little bit wider distribution. So I did this for the genealogy notebooks website that quite a number of people were asking how and where people get their books, because if you don't know about Amazon Direct Publishing, the others are a lot more expensive. And most of them would have like a minimum of 200 copies. And Amazon Direct they don't give you a minimum number of copies that you must print, because there's this print on demand. So for example, if I wanted to buy 5 copies of my book at $5, I could, which, to me, they're definitely losing money. I'm sure most people buy a whole lot more, copies than that, or they sell a lot more. And again, the pricing, you can do anything you want with that. If you want to make a profit on it, then certainly that's your right to do. And when you're setting your book up, there's a place there that asks you how much do you want to make on your book. And if you're going to make X amount, then the total price of the book for your royalty and their printing and everything they do, will be X. And that's the final price of the book. So back to genealogy notebooks. For using the templates, I was going to tell you some positives. The pros are that you could print those books in color, and I know many of them are in color, and people are adding filling in the pages of the PDFs, and they're adding some color photos and different things to it. So I myself have never printed a genealogy book in color, mainly because my books, for what I was doing, black and white seemed fine, but my books are more for information, whereas I think the genealogy notebooks are really beautiful, more family keepsakes than like historical documents and keeping the records. So they're kind of slightly two different purposes. And then the other thing that's really nice, you can print on multiple sizes. And with Amazon Direct Publishing, you can have a colored cover and black and white pages inside. And probably the low print book that she talks about, that would be the case. And then the books would certainly be beautiful, and you could print each book for a very, very reasonable price. It's hard to predict the price because it depends on the number of pages you have, if it's color, if it's black and white, if it's a Kindle publication, if you're just having a digital publication that you'll be selling, or if it's a paperback, or if it's a hardcover. So all those things factor into the price. And then the cons, as I said earlier, for these genealogy notebooks specifically, I'm talking about um, on this website, the cons would be that the templates would have to be modified to fit Amazon's requirements for their inside pages. Um, I don't think that's something that would be too difficult to do. However, I definitely don't see individuals doing that. They could, I'm sure, or perhaps those sidebars. The problem would be with the sidebars because, as I said, the margins are different on every other page. The center margins are larger than the outside ones. So if you have a bar that's the same size on both pages, the page on the left of the book and the right of the book, then it's not going to set up right, and Amazon will reject it. Um, but again, maybe without those bars, then I think you could pretty much probably publish on Amazon. The other thing, some of the books I know, they have the side, a name printed on the side of the sheet. That would maybe a problem too, based on, the Amazon publishing part of it. But again, I think that's a small issue that could easily be modified so that it worked. And I think people would, really love if they were able to print their books. At least a number of them have been asking on the website. So I thought I would quickly give you a quick overview of how I do it for not the genealogy notebooks, but just for genealogy books in general. So that maybe it could be modified for your notebooks. If so, they would just be gorgeous. Thank you.